I want to go in a little deeper now
Okay.
on something that most people don't talk about, and everyone here is a professional in their ways and their careers, and I want to talk about work traumas,
Mm.
and because nobody, I don't think there's a lot of people that understand what work traumas are. Maybe we could both piggyback a little bit on it, and we I would love to hear also Autumn's and Kevin's opinion about work traumas, and we can probably even if we can give a little experience of how that felt and what did it do to our brain and our emotional, did it create a disorder? I don't know, what are your thoughts about work trauma?
Oh, wow. So I used to work in this position. Oh my goodness, this was many years ago. And so probably like my second full-time job. And the woman that I reported to was horrible. And, I assume, I'm like, oh, okay, she looks like me. She wants to mentor me. That was not the case. Everything was all good until I decided to have a voice of my own. I started branching out, networking, meeting new people in our industry. And some of those people happen to be people that she didn't like. But come to find out, she didn't get along with anybody. Nobody really cared for her. So it was one of those things where it was like, if you're my friend, you're my friend. You can't talk to them. They can't sit with us. And I didn't grow up that way. And then my other thing was, I'm a new professional in the field. How can I move on up? How can I branch out? How can I, you know what I mean? Like get to know these people and get these opportunities if I'm stuck up underneath you here. This isn't my forever home. I knew that this was a starter career. So any little thing you could think of, she would do. She would put job postings in my mailbox. She would like if we had to be there by 8:30, if it was 8:35, she would tell the secretary to call me downstairs. So I had got to a place where I would literally come in, and I didn't live that far from the university, let me just say that. So I would literally come in at like 8 o'clock, 7:45. So it was before she got there. And I made sure that we didn't cross paths. So she couldn't say, oh, she's late. 'Cause she would ask the secretary, oh, what time did she come in today? Because the secretary would tell, almost like playing both sides, but she would tell me. Even when it got time to leave, I would call the secretary, is she still here? Even if it was 4:30, time to go, I would still wait until I knew her door was closed or she already left out because I didn't want to cross paths with her. So there was one time we had a meeting and she didn't really have anything to write me up on because I've always been a student-centered professional. So it's like, not saying I'm perfect, but it was like she didn't really have anything. So she ended up bringing up this person who, I started to get very familiar with professionally that she didn't like. And she made the comment to me like, "Oh, well, I saw that they were on campus. Were you near them? Did you talk to them? Because you don't want it to be a situation where you can't work or be in this field again, or you can't find another job." Like these were the things that she would say. And I mean, she's pounding her fist on the desk. And at one point, she threw her pencil. And so, again, as a new professional, and I'm like, I need this job. Again, single parent. I can't go back and tell my mom this because my mom is going to come up here with the troops. Like,
Here
so
comes that. She said the
this
troops. I
mom
love
is
that.
like, exactly. My mom's like, I don't have anything to lose. Like, so I kept it to myself. And I was so scared. I was so worried because I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to make it where I can't find another job after this, or she makes it hard for me to want to leave. Because again, new professional, you're young, you don't know. You think everything that they say is true. So around the time that she left um, the institution, it was a sense of calm, but to me, by that time, the damage was done. So I was very insecure with different things. I was still almost operating in the same way as if she was there, afraid of my own shadow, because I didn't know who I could trust. I told you the secretary's playing both sides. So I didn't know who was really my friend. I didn't know, if other people knew. And, because higher ed is very small. So I didn't know who else knew because I would go to conferences. The conference I went to after that, someone had asked, like, oh, what happened to her? Is she still working there? Oh, I haven't heard from her. And I'm like, Like I said, mum's the word because I don't want anyone to know, she got fired or, anything like that. And then the questions would come because again, I don't know if they're asking because they genuinely want to know or because they're going to carry a bone to her. So it took me a while to really get comfortable in, the professional setting and realize that number one, everyone you work with is not your friend. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how much you have in common. At the end of the day, if something happens, they're going to put themselves first. They're going to do what's best for them. Not saying they're all like that,
Mhm.
but I had to learn that very quickly. The other thing was I had to have a life outside of work because literally all I did was go to work and go home. So I didn't have an outlet. I was very on edge. I remember I had went to this handwriting analysis guy, like it was some workshop we had at the campus. And he even said to me, he said, I can even tell by the way your eyebrows are arched that you have pent up frustration. And even if you don't take it out on them at work, when you go home, they're probably getting it. Like he sensed it because that's exactly how it was. That's how I was feeling. And again, had to do a lot of healing, a lot of inner work when it came to the professional setting because I never wanted to be like that again. And I made sure that anyone I worked with or anyone that I supervised, I didn't want to put them in that same situation.
I like your story because there's a thin line between diplomacy and hypocrisy. Is
Hmm.
really thin. We work in an environment we all supposed to be diplomatic, but
Yeah,
that diplomacy is really hypocrisy most of the time. I would say 90% of the time. It's almost like at times you can't even be yourself
yeah.
because how would they take your true self? You even start to talk the way they talk or the
Hmm.
environment, and just because you know that you at some point you have to fit in, and fitting in sometimes requires that you lose yourself in the process. And
Absolutely.
it's sad because what you went through, it's I'm pretty sure everyone, if they've been into 5 jobs, probably 3 to 4 they have had those kind of experiences, but people don't talk much about them because of
Absolutely.
repercussion. The fear of repercussion, the fear of career damage. I was telling the guys like, I really don't care. I'm just gonna do this because we need to expose the truth. This is not about
Absolutely.
misinformation. Even if it cost my career, I admire Muhammad Ali because of that. He put in
Yeah,
line his career for the truth. And if we don't stand for our convictions, then what the hell are we?
absolutely.